guys are repairing the skylight in our apartment, and it's a long time coming. So I'm glad that they're getting to it. Now, Mary, what are your feelings on, how do you feel about this happening today?
What do you mean?
Like, are you excited about it? Are you anxious? What's going on there?
I guess I feel anxious because I need some downtime before I go to work and touch human bodies for a living because I'm a massage therapist. So right now there's 5 grown men in our studio apartment buzzing around like bees in a hive, cutting holes in ceilings, and so I feel a little better being in your workspace here where there's
than trying to like avoid getting in people's way or whatever while they're working.
Yeah, there's this weird interaction because they're in our way because we live there and we feel we're in their way because they're cutting holes in our ceiling. So everybody feels like they're in everybody's way.
What's the most like dicey situation like that you've ever been in, where like you've been in somebody's way or like they're like working and you're
Oh man, I think our the first thing that comes to mind is I lived in an apartment where the upstairs neighbors flooded the apartment not once but twice to where it came pouring through our our dome lights in the kitchen and everything. So we had to have, I counted, I think it was 9 industrial sized fans in there to
dry it
out, and so my partner at the time lived with my partner, and we couldn't hear each other talk to each other because it was so loud, and that went on for it was a month of demoing. And I think it was like 11 days where we had to have the fans on, so we actually didn't really communicate with each other unless we were out of the apartment, and the workers had keys to our apartment, so they would come and go when they needed to. So I'd be like in the I don't know, there's probably laws about that, but that weren't supposed to happen. But yeah, they had an access code to get into our apartment, and I'd be in the shower and I'd get out and there'd be 2 people that I didn't know just in my kitchen.
Yeah, that's some sort of next level. Not being able to sort of predict other people's comings and goings in your own environment is like pretty maybe a desperate feeling or something.
Yeah.
You know.
I definitely need. I've realized or observed about myself that I need my own retreat where I absolutely know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of crazy, but I need to know who's going to come into my space at what time, you know, and I don't know if that's maybe because of the way I grew up or probably. And also, you know, being a massage therapist and you're on somebody's actual space for your job, you know, so, and I'm creating a safe place for people, so when I'm not at work, I want to have...
You recognize the importance of it, maybe, where you're like, oh, I know because I'm like, essentially, I mean, at this person's request, but I'm totally invading their space, you know, but then it's like, you just know the importance of it, so like when you're back in your own place, it's more, the contrast of not having it or something when you're doing massage stuff is more apparent.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is challenging today.
Yeah.
But it's been, 3 years of me putting in fix-it requests. The skylight in our bedroom, everybody, when it rains, it literally pours into the bedroom out of the skylight. So we have to put buckets and towels, and that's been going on for 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 weeks before the wedding, and they decided to fix it now. So
Yeah. And they're really going for it.
They're really just going for it. They're really just cutting holes in the ceiling.
Yeah.
There's like 3 people on the roof. There's 3 people in the apartment. There's 1 person just watching it happen. So.
And if you're listening to this, you can probably hear the dog huffing and puffing. We just took him to the park, and he ran around and chased a sprinkler, and got all soaking wet.
He loves it. It's a little bit of it's really cute and funny until you realize that he has tendencies towards obsessive compulsion. It's a little obsessive compulsive. He can't stop because he would go forever until he just fell over probably.
Yeah. Which he has a couple of times.
He has.
Fallen over. But I think that's because he was slipping around because the grass was wet. But he almost seemed, I noticed today that he almost seemed relieved when I snapped him out of it. He was like, because he was like tired when we took him to the park because I went to the beach yesterday with him, and he was in the water for like a couple of hours just walking around and swimming and stuff. So he's pretty tuckered out still from yesterday. So when we took him to the park today, he was not quite prepared to go full steam at the water sprinkler like he was yesterday. And so I think once we called him and we started walking away and sort of snapped him out of it, he was like, I don't know, I just got the impression that he was almost relieved to not have to bite at the water anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah. Dog stuff. We're getting ramped up for our wedding, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I'm excited.
Countdown begins.
Yeah. We're going out to the place this evening, right? And doing a little sort of just review walk around.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And maybe do a little bit of cleaning and stuff out there. And I'm excited to see how I'm just envisioning how the space is going to look, you know. And it's an exciting prospect.
I felt all sorts of emotions in this process.
Yeah.
Because last year when you asked me, I was ready to go to the courthouse because in my mind that just seemed like the most simple transaction.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the courthouse.
Yeah.
You have this intimate interaction, and then boom, and you avoid all other things such as planning and food and invites and directions
and the company of your friends and loved ones.
Yeah, I know. Well, now that's what I'm saying is I feel all sorts of emotions because, man, there's been people that have just like stepped up and helped us.
Mm-hmm.
Just like volunteered their time, volunteered their yard, volunteered tents. They went down Becca and Evan went and got these tents and hauled them all the way back.
From Wisconsin?
From Wisconsin, and our friends Jess and Mariah are cutting us a deal on making food for the wedding, and
mm-hmm.
they've just... It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah.
And I am excited. I'm excited to see your family and who haven't been up here. Hope's been up here.
Yeah.
Sister Hope.
Yeah. Any other sibs of mine been up here? I can't think of.
No.
Yeah, that's
Just
kind of surprising.
Yeah.
It is a long drive though.
Yeah. So I'm excited to hang out with people, but I'm also excited because I've been thrifting the decorations.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a 60s, 70s vibe, a little retro,
mm-hmm.
vintage theme I'm throwing in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thrifting and collecting vintage table decor, and so I'm excited. That's my my jam. I
Yeah.
like decorating. Oh man, can I talk about the estate sale I went to?
Oh yeah.
Speaking of vintage, let's get on that subject because that's fun.
Yeah.
So is the wedding, but
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that wasn't fun. I'm very excited for the wedding.
Oh I know.
Okay. I'm also just nervous because imagining people staring at me is a trip.
I'll be right there next to you, buddy. Okay. I got you.
Maybe there's a little performance anxiety or something. I mean, that's why I stopped playing music because I just started freaking out.
Well, you don't have to perform, you know.
Well, yeah, but like we'll be standing there and everyone will be staring at us, so it's sort of like a performance, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most nervous about, but it'll be fine. It's all gonna be people that love and care for us, and vice versa. And oh man, I'm just excited to listen to some good records. And our friend Greg Sandell is gonna be spinning records for us. Just gonna be so fun.
It's gonna be so fun.
Just gonna be hanging out in the yard, and then across the street's gonna be the lake.
Yeah.
And then behind us is woods. It's like pretty. And then in front of us is tacos. You know, it's like pretty good all
Directly in
around.
front of us. Oh, speaking of the lake, just before the estate sale thing, we should tell the nice people listening about our disaster of a beach day the other day. You
Oh,
remember
yesterday. Do I remember
Was that-
yesterday?
was
I
that
sure
yesterday?
do. Yeah.
It
Do I remember
it was
what
the
happened?
day before yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was. That's right. Well, it was a beautiful day all day, and I mean, I was at work. People were coming in. They were just strutting their stuff. They were flying high on the good sun vibes, and I was like, man, I can't wait. John and I had plans to go hiking. We were gonna go Wetmore to take the dog. And then work started wrapping up, and these gray clouds just blanketed the sky. And so anyway, I got home from work, and we tried to drive away from the storm just to have some minutes of beach time instead of driving into the storm.
Yeah, and I should add, I went to bed really late the night before. I got
4 a.m.
Yeah, I got 4 hours of sleep, and then I got up and I cut my finger with the bread knife that morning, and then it was just one of those days. It's just one thing after another, and then by the time you got home, I was in a pretty grouchy mood because I'm trying to remember, there was some other thing that I intended to do that day that I just didn't. I didn't do, or I tried to do and then didn't work or something. And so by the time you got home, I was pretty tired, and I still wanted to go to the beach, and it was sunny, or it was sunny out, and then it suddenly got cloudy, and you were like, hey, you called me on the way home, and you're like, oh, there's supposed to be a thunderstorm, and I was just because I hadn't been outside in a while.
Immediately in a bad mood, and I was like, oh crap, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I got home, and it got grayer and grayer as time went on. And I hadn't eaten any food, so I'm just shoving food in my mouth real quick because I'm gotta get out there before the storm. I just wanted to enjoy some outdoors. It was a goal of mine.
And I was saying, oh, maybe we could, maybe even if it rains, maybe it'll still be fun to swim in the water or whatever.
It'd still be fun. Yes,
so we drove out of
15
town.
minutes. Yeah,
we drove out of town
20
in
minutes.
the opposite direction of where the storm clouds were, because half of the sky was covered in storm clouds, but we could still see some sunny spots. So we drove toward it.
We drove towards the light.
And we get to the beach. We let the dog. I forgot the leash, and then so I was a little worried about that.
The beach is right off. Literally, you park on the side of this busy highway, and we don't have the leash for the dog. And I'm like, oh god.
But that was fine. We got down there onto the beach, and the black flies were swarming. And we were already kind of a bad mood.
Yeah, just coated in biting black flies, standing there, and then the wind picked up.
And I was just getting all ready. I was like, okay, well, it's fine. Like, as soon as I get in the water, everything's going to be okay, and I can just swim around for a while, even if it starts raining.
Yeah, it'd still be fun.
Already, you know.
Yeah.
And you walk to the water first. The sky is black at this point.
And the water was so cold. I don't know if the wind blew in cold to the shore or what.
Yeah, and you just said, ooh, it's pretty chilly. And then I was right behind you, and then I put my feet in the water, and I just heaved this deep sigh.
You dry heaved at the feeling of cold water. So, and then the dog, and then it's like thundering, and Benny is absolutely terrified of thunder and lightning. Like, in the apartment, he tries to dig into the floor, which is an impossible feat because, you know, it's concrete. We have concrete floor in our apartment, and so...
so he's scared, but he also wants to chase a stick. So we did throw... I threw a stick in the water a couple times, but he was real nervous because it was thundering. And then... So I was like, okay, the wind is, at this point, just really picking up, but the black flies are not going away, and we're just getting swarmed more and more. So we're like, okay, let's go it's about to storm, because we can see the rain just pouring over, like, across the lake, like, toward Marquette, and we're looking at
pretty cool looking.
the town. Yeah, it was.
It was great looking, but I was getting eaten by black flies. Literally, my flesh was being... torn away by
just
black flies.
You're just then a skeleton standing there on the beach.
Yeah, a skeleton holding a beer, my bottled beer, which then the wind picked up and it just started I don't even know. It literally was just throwing sand into our faces. Remember, in my beer and it was miserable.
Well, I wanted to have you suggested we have the windows down for a little bit.
Well, we had to go back up to the car, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, we gotta get off the beach. We gotta go back up to the car. So we run back up. This was, by the way, I think we spent maybe 10 minutes. 3?
3.
3 minutes.
I would say 3 minutes on the beach. We drove all the way out there in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Got in a worse mood on the beach, and then we went and sat in the car. And
it was like 80 degrees anyways, so it was like, oh, we gotta roll down the windows. Wow.
Yeah. It's very humid in there, and now the wind is picking up, and it's starting to do this pouring rain, like just whipping around, and the lake looked really cool because there were white caps on it. It was like, when we got out there, it was perfectly calm, like glass, you know? No movement, very cold, not swimmable. and then it was just mere minutes later, it was just huge waves, white caps. It was just pouring. That's one thing I like about living next to the lake, is like it can just change on a dime, you know? Like go from this sort of placid.
You like that?
Yeah.
Why?
Or vice versa, you know? You can have sort of a stormy day, and then if the sun comes out and it's, you know, then it just gets...
So that weather is just like, oh, I'm planning on going hiking. 5 minutes pass, it's downpouring. Well, son of a bitch.
Yeah. That's right.
You like
that's
that,
right.
Huh?
Yeah, I like that it can change on a dime. That was always sort of the joke when, like, living in Indiana, was that, oh, just if you don't like the weather, that's okay. Just wait 5 minutes, you know, because it's like,
it's pretty true though.
Yeah, because it's like
we finished our beer in the car.
Yeah.
Rain and sand was whipping through the car.
And we're sweating in there because it's very humid.
Yeah. Benny's trying to dig into the floor of the car because it's lightning and he didn't like, or it was thundering.
Yeah.
I guess there was some lightning. And
so we sat there for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes in the car, 15 minutes. And I was like, well, this isn't going to slow down. Yeah. So let's just drive back to Marquette. And as soon as we started driving, as soon as we started driving, the sun came out. And it didn't necessarily stop raining entirely, but then it was just, it was sunny, and I was like, oh, great.
And then you had to go to work.
Yeah, and then I had to go to work. It was kind of a long shift. So that was